You step toward the edge. There's a railing, and beyond it, the ground drops away, far below, smaller than it has any right to be. Your legs go loose. Something cold pours down the backs of your knees. Your hand finds the rail without asking and grips. Nothing is wrong. You are standing on a solid floor. The railing is steel. No wind, no ice, no reason to fall. And still your body has decided in less than a second that you are about to die. You have felt this on a balcony, on a glass skywalk that shows the canyon through the floor, on a ladder that suddenly seemed too tall. That lurch in your stomach, that weakness in your thighs, the strange pull that says, step back, get down, hold on. Here is the thing nobody tells you. That feeling is not weakness. It is not a flaw you should have outgrown. It is one of the oldest and most reliable pieces of machinery inside you, and it kept your ancestors alive for a stretch of time so long you cannot really picture it. Your body is running a calculation right now, at the edge, that it began running long before you were human at all. And by the end of this, you will understand exactly what it is counting, and why the ones who felt it are the reason you are here to feel it too. Let us go back. Long before cities, before ladders, before glass floors, your ancestors lived among trees. For millions of years, some of the animals in your family line slept in branches, fed in branches, raised their young in branches. The canopy was safety. It was the place the big cats on the ground could not easily reach. To live up there was to survive. But up there, the ground was the enemy. A slip, a rotten branch, a misjudged jump between two limbs. There were no hospitals, no splints, no second chances. A broken leg was not an injury. It was a slow death sentence, because a creature that cannot climb and cannot run is a creature that gets eaten or starves. The fall itself might kill you outright, and if it did not, the ground would finish the job. Picture one of them, high in a tree at dusk, a young one, reaching for fruit at the end of a thin branch. The branch dips, the wood makes a small, dry sound, and in that instant, before any thought, the body seizes. The hand clamps the trunk, the heart slams, the whole animal goes still, pressed flat against the bark, waiting, refusing to move another inch toward the reaching hand of the fruit. That freeze is not panic, it is arithmetic. In that half second, the body has weighed the fruit against the fall and chosen the trunk. The ones who could not make that choice are not in your family tree. They fell out of it. So think about who survived, generation after generation up in those branches. Not the bold ones who leapt without looking, not the ones who felt nothing standing on a high limb. The survivors were the careful ones, the ones whose bodies flooded with cold fear at the edge of a drop, the ones who froze, who gripped, who backed away. Fear was not the opposite of survival. Fear was the tool of survival. And that fear did not disappear when your ancestors came down from the trees. It came down with them. It rode inside their bodies across millions of years, through every change of shape and face and mind, and it is still riding inside you today. When your knees go weak at the railing, you are meeting an ancestor. You are feeling exactly what they felt on a high branch, and a body that no longer lives in trees, but never got the message. Now here is where it gets strange. You might assume this fear is something you learn, that a child has to fall or be frightened before they understand that heights are dangerous. In the middle of the last century, two researchers named Eleanor Gibson and Richard Walk decided to test exactly that. They built what they called a visual cliff. It was a solid glass table, but half of it had a floor visible just beneath the glass, and the other half showed a floor that dropped away far below, so that it looked like a sudden edge, a cliff, even though the glass was continuous and completely safe. Then they placed babies on it, babies who had only just learned to crawl, babies far too young to have ever fallen from a height. The babies crawled happily across the shallow side, but when they reached the edge, where the floor seemed to drop away, most of them stopped. They would not cross, even with their own mothers on the far side, smiling, calling, reaching out. Some patted the glass with their hands, felt that it was solid, and still would not go. Their eyes told them cliff, and their bodies obeyed the eyes. They had never fallen, nobody had taught them, and yet the fear was already there, installed, waiting, from almost the first day they could move on their own. That is what you carry, Not a lesson you learned, but a memory older than your own life. A caution written so deep that a baby who has never known a bruise already refuses the edge. And it is not only humans. Gibson and Walk ran the same table with kittens, with chicks, with young goats, with lambs. Animals that could walk within hours of birth stopped dead at the visual edge, some of them on the very first day of their lives. The fear of the drop is not a human quirk. It is one of the deepest agreements in the whole animal world. Nearly everything that can be hurt by a fall has been taught, by death, to fear one. So stand at the railing again and feel it differently now. That lurch in your stomach is millions of years of ancestors who did not fall. The cold in your legs is a body doing exactly what it was built to do, checking the edge, freezing you in place, buying the half second that once meant the difference between a long life and a short one. Your fear is not broken, it is working. It has always worked. It is, in a way, a message passed hand to hand down an unbroken line of survivors, every one of whom lived long enough to pass it on because they too felt afraid at the edge. Here is the twist that makes it hard. Your body cannot tell the difference between a rotten branch and a steel railing. It never learned to. The fear is old, and the world is new. The machinery that once read a real drop in the canopy now fires on a glass skywalk built by engineers, tested, bolted, absolutely safe. It fires in an airplane, sealed and certified. It fires on a balcony that has held 1,000 people before you. The danger is gone. The alarm is not, because the alarm is older than the safety, and it does not know the safety exists. This is why you can know, with your thinking mind, that you are perfectly safe, and still feel your knees turn to water. Those are two different systems, and the older one does not wait for permission from the newer one. It acts first and explains nothing. It has been acting first for longer than there have been words to argue with it. And notice how quickly it moves. You do not decide to be afraid. You do not weigh the height and conclude that caution is wise. The fear arrives before the thought, fully formed, in the time it takes to glance down. Your careful, clever modern mind is still catching up, still reading the safety sign on the railing, while the old system has already flooded your legs and grabbed your hand. That speed is the whole point. On a branch, the animal that stopped to think about the drop was already falling. The body that reacted first was the body that lived. You inherited the fast one. You are the child of everything that did not pause. So the next time you feel it, you do not have to be ashamed. You do not have to pretend it is nothing or force yourself past it or call yourself a coward for the weakness in your legs. You can do something quieter instead. You can notice the fear and understand what it is. Not a malfunction, not childishness, a very old friend who has never once wanted you dead, standing up inside you the moment you near an edge, doing the only thing it has ever known how to do, which is keep you alive. You can think it and step back and let it rest. Because that feeling at the railing is the oldest inheritance you own, older than your language, older than your name, older than your species. It is the fear that built you, still keeping watch, still counting the drop. You step toward the edge, your legs go loose, and now, at last, you know exactly what your body is counting and why the counting never stops. It is counting all the ancestors who felt this and lived. It is counting you among them.